Hey everyone. I just wanted to come and talk about a subject that I think is fairly interesting with regard to relationships. So most of you are probably familiar with the term ROI, and that's return on investment. So we tend to think of that as a financial thing, So if we want to look at stocks or real estate or anything to do with purchasing something or investing in something, we want to know that we're going to get a good return on what we've put in, right? And that's just kind of a given with finance, right? But why is it with relationships we don't really take that seriously enough, right? So if you think about return on investment in relationships, how many times have you experienced that a relationship is not reciprocal? In other words, we put in more than we ever receive. And this is under the whole topic of codependency. It's that we tend to settle for less than we deserve in relationships. And where does that pattern come from, right? And how does that play into our sense of self, our self-worth, our self-esteem? So as a young person, you may have been in a household, I know I was, that was not very supportive of who I was, my feelings, my emotions. They were pretty much unimportant. And so that tended to make me suppress who I was, suppress what I was feeling in order to keep everyone else happy, particularly my father. So later on, in life, it's like then you don't have that sense of value for yourself. And so other people show up and they don't value you either. So I know in my family, I tended to be mocked or put down or called selfish or you're too sensitive. And, after years of that type of atmosphere, and even till recently, your family tends to keep you in a box, in a role that you were originally in, and they don't want you ever to leave that role. But people change and they evolve, right? But during those years, I was wondering, why am I so exhausted? Why am I so confused? Why am I feeling so disempowered and taken for granted? It's because I wasn't truly myself. I wasn't truly allowing myself to have desires, to have feelings, to validate myself, because my family wasn't doing it. That's for sure. But I've always been, felt like I was the outcast, different. I was not really accepted. So, you may wonder, how do you come to terms with that? And how do you actually start connecting with your true self? Well, first of all, you have to leave those environments. You have to leave those people. If they don't value you and they don't show you the respect that you deserve, you will stay in a disempowered state, because they are affecting your energy, your psyche, especially as a sensitive. I know I'm very sensitive. I'm an empath, and it was deeply affecting me. And so, eventually, periodically, my daughter would, push me away and ostracize me. And so back to the whole subject of return on investment. If you're not getting poured into and you're always constantly pouring into others, you are going to be depleted. you are going to lose yourself and lose your energy, and you're not getting your return, you know? So if you think about that with relationships, look at your relationships. Are they pouring into you? Are they giving to you? Because if they're not, then they need to go. Quite frankly, they need to go. I know I've had to let go of a lot of things and a lot of people, and it's done me good, because what happens then is then you have more resource, your energy, you have your attention, your focus, you have more resource to redirect that and pour into yourself. That's where the self-empowerment comes. That's where the self-esteem comes. And once you do that, and it takes time to undo all of that, once you do that, then you start asking yourself, you know, what do I need? What do I want? What brings me joy? And the more that you can do that, the more that other people will see your value also, because you're seeing your value. So now I invest in myself. My self-worth has increased. I now know who I am. And my mood is no longer dependent upon their approval. So this is the goal of healing codependency, is seeing your value and looking for that value in relationships. So looking for a return on your investment. So the more that you see your own value, the more that others will reflect that to you. So that is my message for today, and I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave me a comment below on what you are currently struggling with in your relationships, and let's continue the conversation. And also, find my book on Amazon called Breaking Free. I will talk to you all later. Take care.